All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. And let me tell you, this week we are diving headfirst into all things crypto. We're talking Bitcoin predictions, banks, and their whole crypto custody thing, new developments with Ethereum, and even a little blast from the past with Terra Luna Classic. Yeah, we've got a lot to unpack, but don't worry, we've got you covered. We've combed through a mountain of articles and analyses to bring you the insights that really matter.
What's fascinating right now is how interconnected a lot of these crypto events are. So instead of just throwing headlines at you, we're going to connect the dots, look for those broader trends, the bigger picture stuff.
I am here for it. Let's
Oh,
jump right in with what else? Bitcoin. One thing that really jumped out at me was this like almost eerie consensus among analysts about a big price surge happening in Q4. I mean, we're seeing crazy specific predictions. Some saying Bitcoin could hit $100,000, some even saying $172,000 by the end of the year. You don't see that level of agreement very often in the crypto world, do you?
yeah, it is pretty unusual. Now, a lot of these predictions, they're based on this idea of Bitcoin's halving cycles.
Right, the halving. Just a quick refresher for anyone who's new to this.
So basically, every 4 years, the rate at which new Bitcoins are created, it gets cut in half, hence the name halving. It's a way to control the supply of Bitcoin.
Hmm?
And historically, every time this halving happens, it's been followed by these, well, pretty significant price increases. We saw it back in 2016, again in 2020, and now, well, analysts are pointing to the end of this year as the next chapter in that pattern.
Okay, that tracks. But, and maybe I'm imagining things, this time around just feels different, right? I mean, haven't we been hearing about this halving for a while now? And the price hasn't really, well, taken off the way some people were predicting.
That's a good observation. You're right. It's not a perfect one-to-one match with the previous cycles. The price increase this time, it's definitely been more, let's say, delayed.
Delayed, yeah. So what's the deal?
Well, it suggests that there might be other factors at play this time around.
Like what? Give me the inside scoop.
Well, for one, the level of institutional adoption we're seeing in this cycle is unprecedented. We're talking major players like BlackRock, Fidelity, even some governments dipping their toes into Bitcoin.
So it's not just like the tech-savvy folks anymore.
Exactly. When you have these big players like BlackRock stepping in, it sends a signal to the rest of the market. Suddenly, Bitcoin isn't this fringe thing anymore. It's a legitimate asset class. And that attracts even more investors, driving up demand and, well, you know what that means for the price.
Supply and demand, the oldest story in the book, but with Bitcoin. Okay, that's fascinating. And speaking of big players entering the crypto space, did you see the news about Bank of New York Mellon, BONY Mellon, getting regulatory approval to custody Bitcoin? I mean, that feels like another sign that traditional finance is finally, like, really taking crypto seriously, right?
It's definitely significant, but I think a little context is important here. So, while everyone's making a big deal about this recent announcement, the truth is, DONY Mellon, they actually launched their crypto custody platform back in 2022.
Wait, seriously? They did? So this is old news being, what, reheated?
Pretty much. I think it just goes to show how quickly things move in the crypto world. Today's groundbreaking news is old news by next week.
So if BOY Mellon has been doing this for a while, what's the takeaway here?
The takeaway, I think, is that this recent regulatory approval, it's not so much a change in direction for them as it is just a formalization of something they've already been working on.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. They've been quietly building this out, and now they're finally getting the official nod.
Exactly. And the fact that they're getting approval now probably means that they're seeing increased demand from their clients, big institutional clients, who want a safe, regulated way to hold their Bitcoin. And BONY Mellon is stepping up to provide that service.
Which circles us right back to that institutional adoption we were talking about, and its potential to shake things up for Bitcoin's price.
It's all connected, isn't it?
All right, so we've got Bitcoin potentially gearing up for a bull run, fueled by this wave of institutional interest that's huge. But let's not forget about everyone's favorite second-place cryptocurrency, Ethereum. They've got that big Petra upgrade in the works, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ethereum's next big upgrade is called Petra, and it's a big one. A lot of changes coming, but instead of launching everything all at once, they've decided to split it into phases.
Okay, I like it. Makes sense. Like a two-part season finale of our favorite show.
Exactly. Builds the suspense, right. But in this case, it's really more about making sure that the transition is smooth. With Petra, there are just too many complex changes to throw at it all at once. The first phase is expected to roll out sometime around February 2025.
Okay, so new Ethereum features coming to a blockchain near you, February 2025. Got it.
Mm.
But For those of us who, aren't blockchain wizards,
Mm,
anything in this first phase that's going to actually change how we use Ethereum day to day.
absolutely. There are a couple of key improvements in this first phase that are going to make a big difference for everyday users. One of the big ones is the ability to pay gas fees with any token.
Okay, time for a quick explainer for anyone who's not familiar with gas fees.
Right, right. Gas fees, they're basically transaction fees on the Ethereum network. Right now, you need to have ETH, Ethereum's native cryptocurrency, to pay these fees, even if you're sending a different token across the network.
Which can be a pain. It's like needing dollars to buy a soda, even if you're paying with a gift card.
A perfect analogy. But with Petra, that changes. They're introducing something called EIP 7702, which will allow you to use whatever token you're sending to cover the gas fee.
Oh, okay, now that makes more sense. So no more scrambling to buy ETH just to send some other token. That's going to be huge.
Huge, absolutely. It seems like a small change, but it makes a big difference for just the overall user experience.
Totally, totally. User experience is everything. So what else is coming with this first phase?
Another big improvement, and this is really exciting for anyone who uses Ethereum for staking, is a change to how staking rewards work.
And by staking, you mean?
Good point. Staking is basically where you deposit your ETH into a special account to help secure the network. You're basically putting your ETH to work. Think of it like putting your money in a certificate of deposit, a CD, at a bank, but instead of earning interest, you're earning more ETH.
Okay, so staking crypto CD. Got it.
Exactly. So right now, you only earn rewards on the first 32 ETH that you stake.
Wait, really? So anything above that and you're just out of luck?
Yep, that's the way it is currently. It's kind of this old quirk of the system. But Petra, it's going to finally fix that. This upgrade will allow stakers to earn rewards on all of their staked ETH, regardless of how much they have.
Nice. Reward the people. Okay, so these are some pretty significant changes. But I'm not going to lie. Sometimes these Ethereum upgrades, they can be a little, technical.
Yeah.
Important, sure, but not always something that's super obvious to the average user right away.
I hear you. They're not always the most, let's say, glamorous changes, but they're incredibly important for Ethereum's long-term health and growth. It's really about laying that groundwork for a more scalable, more secure, more user-friendly system in the future.
So maybe not as exciting as getting a new spaceship in your favorite video game, but just as important in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. And these under-the-hood changes, that's what's going to ultimately allow Ethereum to support more user-friendly applications, more exciting things on the horizon. And it paves the way to bring even more people into the world of decentralized finance.
And speaking of bringing more people into the crypto world, let's talk about a project that, well, let's just say had a little bit of a rough patch.
Okay.
Terra Luna Classic. Remember them? They're back in the news with this whole token burn thing.
Yeah, Terra Luna Classic, they had that pretty spectacular crash last year.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to make a comeback with this whole token burn thing.
It really speaks to that never say die attitude you see in the crypto world.
Right. Even after a huge setback, you still have believers who are actively trying to revive the project. So with a token burn, the idea is to reduce the total supply of a cryptocurrency,
Okay.
which in theory should increase the value of the tokens that are left.
Right. So like a bonfire of tokens to appease the crypto gods
Exactly.
and hopefully boost the price.
It's going to
Yeah.
work.
That's
Honestly, it's a long road back from where Terra Luna Classic has been. It's one thing to burn tokens, but rebuilding trust, attracting new investors, that's a whole other challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, one last thing before we wrap up.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the FTX situation. Remember that whole debacle from last year?
How could we forget?
The liquidators are getting ready to sell off a big chunk of their Solana holdings. How do we think that's going to play out?
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. When you have a large-scale sale like this, it can put some downward pressure on the price, at least in the short term. It'll be interesting to see how the market absorbs this influx of Solana and what it means for the project moving forward.
Uncertainty in the crypto world, name a more iconic duo.
Right.
But on that note, we've covered a ton today. Bitcoin predictions, banks getting into crypto custody, Ethereum upgrades, Terra Luna Classic, FTX. I'm exhausted just listing it all. So what are the key takeaways here? What's the big picture for our listeners?
I think what we're seeing is a pivotal moment in the evolution of cryptocurrency. You've got Bitcoin, the OG crypto, potentially on the verge of another bull run, and a lot of that is driven by this huge wave of institutional interest. Then you've got Ethereum constantly evolving and improving, laying the foundation for a more user-friendly, decentralized future.
Okay.
And through it all, you have this incredibly passionate community, developers, investors, just everyday enthusiasts who are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this technology.
It's like we're watching a new financial system being built in real time right in front of us.
It really is amazing.
So many possibilities.
Yeah.
So many questions. Will Bitcoin keep mirroring its past cycles?
Right.
Will these Ethereum upgrades be enough to onboard like the next billion users?
That's the dream.
Will traditional finance and decentralized finance fully merge, or will they just like keep orbiting each other?
So many questions.
Big questions. And you know what? We're going to leave those for our listeners to ponder. A little something to think about.
Absolutely.
So, to everyone who joined us for this deep dive into the world of crypto, thank you. We hope you found it insightful, helpful, maybe even a little entertaining. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Head over to our social media. Let us know what you think. Share your predictions, your hot takes, your hopes, your dreams. We love hearing from you.
Until next time.
See you all on the next deep dive.